Hello and welcome. I am your teacher, Dawood Waid, and this is Golden Sparrows Lessons for the NIOS. We are doing science and technology, and in science and technology, I'm specifically doing biology. Today is the last chapter of biology. If you look at the book, it's a pretty vast book, but there are around 9 chapters dedicated to only study of biology, which I study and love so much. Today is perhaps the most interesting chapter of biology, which is chapter number 25, that is heredity. So what I'll be doing is I'll be sharing my screen, teaching you what the chapter is about, and then taking you through the notes as well as my presentation. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, we will cover up almost half of the chapter of heredity, chapter 25, in the living world module, and then we will do the second part in my rest of the other chapter. Before I study, and teach you about heredity, there's something so interesting. What makes us who we are? So in heredity, we will talk about genes and genetic conditions. A quick question, a trivia question. You see these all structures around? What are these ribbon-like structures that you know? And as you study, you will decode and unravel these helical structures, which are the building block of who you are. That is called the DNA. The DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid, makes up the genes, and your genes makes up who you are. Well, this could be you or any one of us. And this is what inheritance is all about. You are hereditary based on your father, your mother, your uncle, your grandfather, and this is what makes you. Let's say some of you have brown hair color, curly hairs, straight hairs, or no hairs. Well, no hairs doesn't apply to you right now as students, but maybe your fathers and grandfathers. This is what is inherited characteristics. It could be eye color. Oh, well, my eye color is, it could be black or brown, or you could be Hrithik Roshan and have a blue eye color. I want you to understand that biology is you. And the reason I make it, sound funny or interesting is because you will learn that biology is so much to do with how you are. How you smile is heredity. Do you have dimples when you smile? Well, no dimples or the way your cheeks are is again defining yourself. Or hairlines, receding hairlines. They say I've got middle hairline or I've got no hairlines. In fact, everything about you, including your noses, and some of us don't like poking noses in others. Well, that's a different story. But the way your nose is, the nose which could be round, which could be short, flat, don't get a nose job done right now, which is rhinoplasty, by the way. But the idea we are talking is this is what makes you. Let me go back to my notes and quickly teach you 2 terms we just ran through, and so easy is the concept of what is heredity. And this is what we are talking about. The passing down of similar characteristics, genes after genes, generation after generation, is termed heredity. Well, if you aren't looking like your father or your mother, don't worry. The genes have a different combination, and this is what variation is all about. Interesting, isn't it? That's all that we need to learn as we learn this chapter of what this whole concept of gene and variation is. So you learn down the passing down of characteristics from parent to offspring, that is who you are, is heredity, and this is controlled by what we call the genes. Let's say, you are very beautiful and whitish, and white is not necessarily beautiful, but your skin color is different than that of a mother. Perhaps this is called variation. You have got what is called a recessive gene in you, and this determines who we are. I'll keep shifting between the 2 slides so that you understand a concept. So how do I teach you genes? Genes are like, let's say you're making a recipe, like a gingerbread man. What are the ingredients? You need gingerbread man, of course, sugar, icing, flour, some sweets, butter. I'm a good baker, right? So imagine everybody's original DNA is the same. What makes us different, and the entire variety of 7 billion people around us and the animals, which you will not identify so soon, is the 0.1%. The gingerbread men are same, but the taste that you see is the recipe that you have. The icing, the fondant, the kind of gems you use just makes us different. Let's say Instead of ginger, you use salt or pepper. Well, the whole gingerbread man will go wrong, right? This is exactly what we're talking about. This is the kind of concept that I'm teaching you, and this is where we get it. In fact, your inherited characteristics not only determine who you are or how you look like, it determines something very ordinary. Can you roll your tongue? Well, it is in your chapter, and I'll show you. Rolling your tongue is heredity again. You know, you can or you cannot based on your forefathers. Or how about your ears? Can you move your ears? Well, my brother and his sons can do it. I say your donkey family, but it is also heredity. I am a left-hander, by the way, and this is my right hand, right? I'm a left-hander, by the way, and my daughter is a left-hander. Heredity, these are inherited characteristics. Even your blood type, A negative plus, the rhesus factor, we will talk about blood type in the circulatory system in detail, but all of these make up who you are. So, who told us this? Well, this is a man whose name is Gregor Mendel. Well, Gregor Mendel is to biology what, Newton or Albert Einstein is to physics, or what Mendeleev is to chemistry, the periodic table person, right? Well, I had a fun that Gregor Mendel one day was sitting in a class. He found out Newton made 3 laws of motion. He said, I'll also make 3. Well, that's not true story. But Gregor Mendel gave us the laws of inheritance. Not the inheritance of money that you get, the Ambanis and the children of Ambanis. No. It's the inheritance of how you look like, who you are. And this is what I'm going to teach you in today's session. His first law is called law of segregation. Mendel studied pea plant. They had so much time to study the pea plant. He found out that the plant are either same or different. So the heights, their colors, the way the pollens are around it is all based on something, factors, right? Thus, the 2 factors, what are the 2 factors? Are controlling the entire pair, segregate or separate during the gamete foundation. I'll explain to you, and I'll go back to the chapter also. So let me go here. This is Mendel's law, and we'll come to Mendel's law after I go back and explain the PDF to you. Hello, Mr. Gregor. Right. 1822, really long, right? Don't worry, the tongue thing, we just discussed about the tongue part of it. So Gregor Mendel said, so every feature, the color, the height, the texture is controlled by a pair of factors. So during the gamete foundation, right, one factor goes to one gamete and another goes to another gamete. Thus, the 2 factors of pair segregate or separate during gamete foundation. Upon fertilization, this is who you become. First law. Not confusing. I'll explain this law through an example, which will make it easier for you. What is Mendel trying to tell us? So the first law, let's make it very simple for you. Let me go here, share the screen. Okay, Mr. Mendel, here's your first law. Let's say there are 2 plants, right? They are the gametes. So this is RR and small rr, the red one and the white one. What will you become, red or white? Depending on which was a dominant gene or the gamete formation, you became red. It could be possible the next time they fertilize. So this one is fertilizing again with another red one. So I've got a red flower here. I'm very bad with red flower. It could also mean you may have red. Again, another red. But then after some time, you have a white flower. How did the white flower come out when they all are red? It is all gene theory talking about. This is what Mendel's theory is about, that there is a dominant gene and there is a recessive gene. Dominant gene is what you generally become. So that is his second law. What's Mendel's second law? That one of the factor controls which is dominant. It is widely there. Let's say as Indians, our dominant hair color is black. Everybody has a black hair color. But they are recessive colors that could be a part of your and mine, and this makes us who we are, right? So Mendel's second law says, the dominant is always dominant, but in the absence of dominant, the recessive factors come in, which is your second law. So think of Mendel. Mendel had a lot of theories to it. What I just taught you is theory number 1, and then there is Mendel's second law. Mendel gave other laws also, which we are not so interested in. Parental equivalence and law of independent assortment, which is your law number 3 and 4. The inheritance of one gene doesn't affect the other gene. So that, you and your brother could be different is the inheritance you got. Someone else, there is another scientist by the name of Sufon. He started working on Mendels Law, and he discovered that the presence of chromosomes on it. A lot of things, isn't it? This is where we go back and try solving some of the intent questions. Let's go back. Let's see, you've done good. First part of it, hopefully it's not difficult. The Mendel's law are coming in here. And this is the simple question I want to give you. What is meant by the term heredity and variation? Not difficult now. We already taught that to you. And all of these questions, surprisingly, have answers. When you pass down similar characteristics generation to generation, it's hereditary. When there's a difference in gene combination, it is variation. Why is Mr. Mendel called the father or the founding father of genetics? Well, he gave the entire genetic theory, the theory of heredity. What is dominant and recessive? Well, the gene which expresses in spite of the presence of other is dominant. Expression in the absence of dominant is recessive. The scientist who discovered that Mendelian factor present on chromosome is Sufon, and the synonym for Mendelian factor is a gene. Next time when I come, I'll talk about the chromosomes and a lot of interesting things in this chapter number 25 biology. Until then, study well, good luck, and all the best.